What is going on? Welcome to Ryan and Brian Talk Sports plus NicLarson. I almost didn't
Pluck.
talk
Thank you.
right there. Yeah, I almost. You know, it's funny. We have a group chat and it's called the Cox, and I was just texting in it, so I don't know why I had the chicken on the mind, but with Nick Larson, as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we appreciate our sponsors, Pickett Sports and Sleeper Picks. How are you guys doing?
Good,
A
Nick.
lot
A lot better than Framber Valdez is doing right now, I can tell you that.
I was watching I was streaming that game before we went live, and even a guy that's rooting for the Rangers in this series. I kinda like Valdez. I do root for him. It was kind of tough to see him kinda just looked horrible in that first inning.
Yeah, he got shelled very, very quickly.
Yeah,
Very,
very
very quickly. Very excited for tonight. Very sad about yesterday, but I don't know. I want to lead off with a question that's been kind of I've been racking my brain about top. Let's say we have the three arguably best receivers in the league. Who are you taking out of these three? Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, or Tyreek Hill? Who would you build your team around?
like any quarterback. Like, they all have the same quarterback?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's say that. Tone says JJ, no question. Props Daddy.
Yeah.
Props Daddy. This question's for you too, man.
Ah.
Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, or Cooper
This
Kupp? Who you building your team around?
show is going to be an hour of dead space as I think about this.
I'm gonna
This is
take
gonna be insane.
Jefferson just based on. I mean, you got to assume everyone healthy, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
their and
Full
their
health.
current ages right now.
Yep.
I'll
Yeah,
say
give
I'll
me
say
Jefferson.
this. I'll say this. I think it's the answer is Jefferson because I do appreciate more of a someone said, why do I still have the grandpa hat on? Because I decided to wear
Kobe.
it. Yeah, because
You just finished your
I'm a
paper
golf
out, didn't you?
yeah, I just finished my
Yeah,
paper out from the 1960s, but I do think it's Jefferson. I've always
love
said
it.
this, and I've said it multiple times. Do you remember back when it was Antonio Brown or Julio Jones? I was always on the Jones route just because I appreciate something, go up and get a ball. But I do it's really tough because Tyreek Hill would be my very close second there, just because he takes a top up of defense like nobody else. I mean, it's like Tyreek Hill can almost affect the game in such a matter of way without having a single catch just by running go routes and having the safety help, having to at least respect it every single play.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
throw Adam Thielen in there or something.
Dude, the way he's been playing, we might have to. This is just absurd. He's been getting peppered with targets. Shout out, Nick, for your full ladder cash yesterday.
Yeah,
That was a pretty good one.
yeah, man, he's back from the dead. It's cool. It's cool to see. I like Adam Thielen.
For
Man,
sure.
the Peaky Blinders. Do you guys watch Peaky Blinders? Like, I don't.
I'm a season in or so. So
Yeah, so no
the
spoilers
first thing I
there.
thought about when I saw your hat. So I like that.
In my defense, I did ask all the people here, Ryan, Nick, and Tonestat, the producer. I asked them if I should go for it, and they all agreed. So we stuck with the hat.
I didn't agree to that at all.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a good question. I do think there's a lot of talent in the NFL, and yesterday was a really I feel like it was a very strange day. I walked out with profit, and I was still
That's
super
enough.
mad about Week 6. I don't know if you saw. I had the worst beat of all time, and I can't stop talking about it. You make the jokes, Nick. Don't laugh at me,
Oh, I'm
dude.
laughing
Right,
at you. Dude.
right. Did you
I
see
knew we
that?
were going to hear about Evan Ingram.
Yep.
I just
Have you ever heard of that before, though? Like, and I did to myself because I'm watching my friends, and I said, okay, surely Evan Ingram gets a catch in the second half, and then I corrected myself saying 4 yard, 4 yard. And they were like, well, he caught one for a yard right after catching one for -1 yard. It's like, I've never seen two catches not result in a yard to go, point 0.5 of a yard to go over. I was heated. It
that's
Ask
was,
that's
everybody
that
ask
is a
everybody about the
classic
FanDuel
loss.
boost.
yeah,
The 50-50-50 receiving one where
yeah.
it
And
was
it was Kirk,
Evans
right?
it was
Or no?
Evans, Cup, and Amon-Ra, and Evans finished with 49 yards.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did he have
Nice.
49 and a half and then catch two passes for 0 yards in the second? Because
Yeah.
that's a new level of pain. And then it's one of those things where we won't get into it too much, but I'm like plus
Sure.
1.6 units or whatever. But those kind of things really sting. Where if you think about it, that's a 2 unit swing right there. That's a 1.6. One more yard is like what 338 like on the week. It's just crazy how those kind of things can stack up and really piss you off.
I made 0.18 units yesterday.
Dwell on the positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
It's
a beautifully green day.
it's one of those things where you can have a positive day and people be like, "Oh, you can't complain." I'm like, "You can still kind of complain. That's bullshit." Those little things stack up. But we can move on to NFL. I know there's a MLB baseball game right now. Honestly, there was a hit by pitch there. Valdez just looks terrible
Yeah,
right now.
he
I've
looks
been
quite
watching the
rattled out
screens.
there. He's
He's
already
been
Yeah,
thrown
like on
three
the
pitches in.
decline for a while though. Like he didn't even finish the end of the season very well.
Yeah,
I will
that's
say this:
fair.
if well, they just got struck out. Never. I was gonna say if the Rangers ended up scoring there, I would have probably suggested a live under because I do think eventually these pitchers will settle in and start looking like themselves. Not Eovaldi, he's already locked in, but just overall,
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
yeah,
But we do have some NFL and of course the Phillies, which we'll get to at some point.
yeah.
But
And we gotta go NFL first, solely because it's on the ticker. No, Tone, we respect your wishes and we know how angry you get. You honestly get really scary if you don't go through the ticker properly. So we're gonna go
you guys don't
NFL.
want to see that.
Yeah, he gets pissed. And like it's one of those things where on the surface we're all a happy family, but behind the scenes he gets so nasty towards us. You guys never see it. Everyone's like, "Wow, Tone Sam's so nice. It must be so fun working with him." It sucks. But we will talk about the Cowboys and the Chargers over
Oh,
under a 50 and a half. It moved down from 51 and a half, and it is a small favorite where the Cowboys are minus 1.5. The Chargers are plus 110 on the money line. Do you guys have any initial thoughts on the game total, anything before we get into props that we have?
the first thing that comes to mind, not that this weekend's games mean anything about tonight's outcome, but I think I just need to take this moment to bring this to everybody's attention that yesterday there was, I believe, 14 games, and only 2 of those 14 games had more than 40 points scored total. So 12 out of the 14 had 39 or less points scored total. So in unders paradise, we walk into Monday Night Football with a total touching 50. I'm not taking the under. I'm not an under totals guy. I'd rather just walk away. I know that's a little stubborn, especially if you think there's an edge there, but I don't really bet totals in NFL ever. This one, I guess, has my attention after yesterday. I mean, I don't really know how to describe the sport at its current state. I really hope this game tonight delivers because this is a really bad week of football. Now, it's one bad week. We've had some really exciting weeks, so I don't need to panic too much. But that was a really bad Sunday worth of football. I was very underwhelmed with the
Yeah,
entirety of the league.
yeah, it was. I don't want to say this because there were some decent games and there was some here and there, but we're talking about on the show at noon too. I know a lot of people want this to be a fun game or whatnot with 50 and a half, and how does this game go over? I mean, how does it go under because these two offenses are so good, this and that. But you mentioned the 40-point stat. I mean, the line is baked into the fact that Vegas is well aware that these offenses are very good. So who knows? For all you know, it's 28. I mean, like you win this bet if you go under. If it's like 28-21, it doesn't mean it's a boring game. It just means that
Sure,
you
sure.
didn't get the 52 points. But yeah, I do think this should be a fun game to watch, especially because these defenses are not great. I mean, the Chargers defense is kind of like Swiss cheese out there. I know
Bad.
Nick will talk about it a little bit later because I think he's got a full ladder he's got going out there. Do you want to start us off with that, Nick? Because I did see it on Twitter and I meant to like it. I forgot.
Thanks,
Sure,
appreciate
man.
it. Hey, at least you are follow. At least you're following me now. So
There
Yeah,
you
I
go.
know. Isn't it crazy that I'm following you
baby
now?
steps. Baby
I didn't
steps.
follow him for the longest time. I kind of figured if he's going to be the plus Nick on our show, eventually I have to give him some love.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took CD Lamb receiving yards ladder, starting with his base of 70 and a half at 110 and took it up to 125 yards was plus 490. The Chargers have allowed the most yards to wide receivers this year. They're giving up just to wide receivers. They're giving up about 232 a game. Some notable wide receivers that they faced this year. Tyreek Hill had 215 against them. Justin Jefferson,
It's such a
149.
funny stat to say. 215. It's
Um,
just such a funny number.
Burks for Tennessee had 76, and then Devontae Adams had 75, and Jacobs had like 86 that game. So they've been giving up yards in bunches, and I think this could be a big breakout game for CD. I think. He's
Yeah.
had one game, but he's been stuck at like 4 receptions a game. So
Yeah, so I'm glad you're about to bring that up because I agree with you. I actually gave CeeDee Lamb a very long look. I wanted to play him a lot, but I ended up going elsewhere. But did you see what do you call it? The interview with Jerry Jones on the talk show on
Absolutely.
Tuesday? That was
Absolutely.
like I honestly don't read anything into it, but how interesting was it that they straight up asked him if they should start getting CeeDee Lamb the ball more because he's been frustrated with his lack of targets, and he straight up said, "Oh, like I'm not too worried about it. I like to see the ball in the tight end's hands." Like, I've never seen the owner say that, but their star player that's like angry, and he's just like, "Yeah, I
was
don't
it
care."
you?
Like,
Were you the owner saying that?
no, it was Jerry Jones. Like it was the most unserious comment I think I've ever heard. But I don't really take much stock into that. Like now he's not on the field making the decisions. I do think CeeDee Lamb eventually has to break out. He's too good not to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I really wanted Keenan Allen too, but I thought about dual laddering them, but I didn't.
Yeah,
So
someone in the chat asked about that, and I figured you might be doing that with that dual ladder system you do sometimes.
yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know. I already have the CD one, so I thought about it afterwards. I didn't want to double up on it, but if you want to do that and lower both of them, that's fine too.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's a fun look. I do think CeeDee Lamb has to break out, and the Chargers defense is kind of has holes all over. So they usually like to air it out a lot. Like they like to, well, not air it out. They like to throw the ball. For all you know, it could be 3 yard passes, but they do like to throw the ball a lot.
Shout out for the subscription there, Joe
Yeah, I just
Milkskin, my
saw
man
that. That was
Milkskin. We're big fan of Milkskin on this show for sure.
milk skin. Yeah. Do you guys ever have milk steak? You guys ever have milk steak from yeah, anyone here watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Nobody.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
the milk
Went over
steak.
my
Yeah,
head initially.
He
yeah.
was
About
the
Sabbath.
And
he
rum
was the
hand.
winner of the big bracket thing that we did too, during baseball season.
Milkskin knows the sports, man.
Wait.
He
We had a
knows
what
it.
bracket
Yep.
thing in baseball season? What are you talking
Once
about?
again, not paying attention to anything, is he?
I don't
He
think.
don't know. Let's
He
just
doesn't.
brush over that, man.
What did we do? No, I'm just
Pathetic.
fucking with you. Ryan, how many plays do you have on Monday Night Football?
2 plays. One is very correlated with play.
So do you want to kind of build off his? We always look for good segues on this show.
I think I would like to do that exactly. I'm actually going Dak Prescott. So last night I took this at slightly better odds, but it's still playable in my opinion. So I took Dak 150 plus passing yards. It was minus 120 then. It's minus 130 now. You can also go over to PointsBet. I think they have 250.5 at minus 115. So you can go the one extra yard for a little bit better price. I don't really blame you either way. From there, it's 253.5 on FanDuel. It's 254.5 on BetRivers. It's 257.5 on Barstool. Nonetheless, let's get into Dak. So they got absolutely slaughtered last week. We all watched that on prime time. I think this is a nice spot for them to bounce back in a big way. I could see this being a Pollard game, but there was just so many good reasons to like the Dallas receivers, whether, and that includes Pollard, which I know we'll get to shortly. Sorry for blowing that, Brian, but
Yeah, you just shit on my plate, man. You're like, I was going to play
completely,
Pollard, but I would never do that because I want to try to win money. And then you're like, don't worry, Brian, we'll talk about that later.
yeah. That one's on me. My bad. But I liked CD. I like Gallup a lot. Brandon Cooks is really good versus the Chargers coverage, but his game log didn't really sell me on anything there. Ferguson, there's a lot to like there. Pollard out of the backfield, there's a lot to like. And finally, I just said, fuck it, went Dak. Same thing I did with Lamar Jackson for the London game, which actually hit by 2 yards. That was a hell of a sweat. That was crazy. But I really like this spot. It's kind of hard to get a firm grasp on what Dak is this year because every game has been so lopsided. They've had wins of 40, 20, and 35 and have a loss of 32. So they've had 4 of their 5 games decided by 20 or more points. So in week 1, they won by a million. In week 5, they lost by a million. In weeks 2, 3, 4, these were still pretty lopsided games, but I think these are the most reasonable games to kind of look at for expectation for Dak tonight. In those 3 games, he averaged 37.3 passing attempts and 255 yards, which would cash us here, which I like. Obviously there's never a guarantee in sports. The Vegas line doesn't mean so much, but fairly encouraged by the minus 1.5 Vegas and is thinking this game stays close. I think this game stays pretty close too. These offenses are both pretty damn talented. So I think it ends up being a close game, and we finally get to see what Dak looks like in a game where it's competitive from start to finish, hopefully. Golden matchup. Chargers allow the second most completions and the most passing yards per game. PFF has them at a 55.3 coverage grade, which is the fifth worst in the league. Dallas's offensive line also got back to full strength, which if you like Pollard, you can kind of listen to this part too as a pro for Pollard. But they have Tyron Smith, who's the 12th ranked left tackle. Tyler Smith is the number 1 rated left guard, which is kind of interesting. Zach Martin, 5th rated guard. Center and right tackle are a little in question, but they have 3 staples on this line. I think it's a really good offensive line. I think it's one of the top ones we have in the league. So while Mack on one side and an injured Bosa on the other is kind of frightening, I think they'll get the job done enough for Dak to get the ball out quickly and let his receivers make plays. I also had a really strong lean on the over 33.5 pass attempts, but ultimately went with the yards because the Chargers allow just so many chunk plays. I believe they lead the league in 20-yard passes allowed, 20-plus yard passes allowed. So if he gets that kind of volume, definitely think we're going over tonight. I thought about laddering this. QB yard ladders really just aren't that valuable, so I just kind of chilled on the 250. I was happy with that, or the 250.5, whatever you want to take there is fine with me. But yeah, Dak over 250 or 250.5 on PointsBet.
I had a question off of Dak. What are your thoughts on his 22.5 for completions? I think
I'm glad you said that because I like that a lot too.
because I think
too.
Chargers have allowed every quarterback over, and I think Dak's averaging like 27 or something like that.
We talked about before too, where we talked about dink and dunk Dak at times with tight ends and receivers like underneath, and also with the running back involvement. Completions are a nice play too because you don't have to do them. You don't have to worry about them going anywhere. You just have to worry about them being caught, which is also nice. But I actually agree with Ryan there. I think 250 is really low.
It is.
I was happy with that number. Definitely quite happy. We got another sub from Santan Cam. We really appreciate you guys.
I read that at first. I ran out of I thought it was Santa Claus, and I really was.
I
thought Santa was watching the show, and I was gonna lose my shit. Like, could you imagine if your childhood hero watches your show now? That would be crazy.
My mind initially went to Santa Claus, and then secondly went to Satan.
Yeah, so I'm glad you. So I did the exact same thing. I did the exact same thing. I thought it was Santa, and then Satan, and then I.
What a roller coaster in names.
I know right? That was crazy. Thank you for that. We really appreciate it. I'm glad you mentioned that as well, just because this is a game where, like I said, you mentioned laddering. Last night I did Tyrod Taylor over, and I thought about laddering it, and I was really pissed. I didn't when there was 10 minutes left in the third quarter. Had like 140, and I needed like 170 or whatever it was, and I was like, dude, I should have laddered this to like 200, 250, whatever it is. And then the Bills held the ball for 23 minutes or whatever. Like, so it was like one of those things where I just barely went over on like the last 2 plays of the game, and I felt better about not laddering it. So sometimes you can find value in ladders. Sometimes you get by the skin of your teeth to just get through there. So I do like that play a lot.
Yeah.
To kind of piggyback off you and
my bad. I've already blown your play. Skip over this.
No. I'll say this. I'll piggyback off you because you mentioned 20+ yard passive plays. That's kind of what I'm hoping for here. I took Tony 20.5 receiving yards. I've actually had a lot of success, and you guys have been with me for the ride, I think, for a lot of these primetime games. I've started betting a lot more of these low volume props. Like last week, it was Jordan Love for the longest rush and 16.5 rushing yards. Thursday night football was Thursday night football was Pacheco, which also cast the first quarter. So I think there's some value in these lower lines on prime time when everyone else is taking like Keenan Allen or like someone stupid like taking CeeDee Lamb or something. I do think there's value in these kind of lower lines. So to get into it a little bit, because I don't want to just like riff a bunch of stats, but we can attack this. We can attack this this Chargers defense any way you want. I mean, they are just allowing 300 passing yards a game. They really haven't been great in coverage, but they're allowing 55 yards to the opposing running backs in the passing games. Last time they played was Josh Jacobs, who took him for 81 yards. Not putting it all on pass success, but the running back position is seeing almost 10 targets a game. And if you're talking about how Dak Prescott really prefers to throw this football. We like the yards, we like the attempts, or whatever. These two teams play at a higher pace. So if there's a lot of plays, there's gonna be more opportunities. More opportunities means that this guy Pollard is already getting targets a game. He has one game where he has 3 catches, and every other game he has at least 3 catches the last 4 games. If you give me 3 or 4 catches against this team with a softer coverage over the middle, I just think he's so electric with the ball in his hands that 20.5 to see it feels really low. I have him closer projected to 30, and I just think the opportunity is there for him to get 3 catches, 4 catches, and against a defense that's allowing almost 9 yards a catch to running backs. Just give me one big play or 2 or 3, solid 1st and 10, first downs, something like that.
Like that a lot. Considered those receptions. I think I already stated this, but I like so many of the Dallas targets that I don't know. It was really hard to pick, but I definitely really like Pollard. I really like CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go
I,
Dallas
I like
offense is basically
I
what we're
like your
getting
I
at.
like your pivot to the quarterback yards because that's kind of what I've done in the past too. When you like multiple people on the same team, where someone's got to be throwing the football. So I do think that it could be a really good CD and Pollard game because Pollard gets the ball a lot in general. So just give him that one chance. I'll be texting you guys in the first quarter when he has his perfectly blocked screen pass and he trips and loses 2 yards. Don't
I
worry,
can't.
You'll be hearing from me.
I
Earlier on the
can't
show,
wait, dude.
earlier on the show at noon, Josh, that's on our show, he mentioned he liked Pollard over in receptions. He was always 2.5. This is the first week; it's 3.5. So that's also
Yeah.
encouraging to me that they're expecting him to get more receiving work because he has been. So I do think this is a good position to go
That was
yards.
the
Receive
first thing I
catches.
checked was to see if he was at 2.5 when the lines came
Yeah,
out.
I honestly I figured it'd be like 2.5. I thought it'd be like -260, but I was like, okay, you can find a pair for that. But it did open at 3.5, which is kind of frustrating if you wanted to play it that kind of way.
Can I piggyback off your Pollard play?
Please do.
I'll go another running back. This is a long shot, so plus 900, 25 receiving yards in each half.
I
So
saw
I
that. I tailed that earlier. I like it.
I think if he
fuck you. Yeah, I
a
like that
couple
a lot.
just a couple dump offs, I mean, he gets so many garbage catches in the second half if need be. So I think if you can get a couple early, I really like this one.
I like Justin Herbert, and obviously Herbert is like one of the most talented players in the league, just with arm strength and overall talent. But man, he gets so many good boosts in his numbers by those kind of short little dump offs to Eckler.
Yep.
He just finds ways to make it work. Honestly, I was so ready to play Eckler props if they were given any kind of a discount for him being coming off an
There's
injury, but
nothing.
they weren't. Like he was what 33.5 on receiving. His receptions was 4.5. Like if I got anything with like a discount under 30, I probably would have been playing Eckler instead of Holler. But
I
yeah, they
really
really.
wanted speaking of the two, I really wanted to dual ladder their receptions.
I honestly I was debating using my FanDuel boost on them to have 50 plus receiving yards each. Like the odds were kind of crazy, but I ended up
Yeah.
not doing that. But who
I
knows?
think
There's still
three
time.
three and three was like close to even money or something.
I'm sure it was. I'm
4 and 4
Yeah.
checking
was
that
like
right
plus
now.
200.
I also think it's comforting to hear you say that because I think a lot of times, like I said, I was making a joke earlier about CeeDee Lamb shitting on you, but I do think he has a good game. But I do think there's a tendency on these big time matchups or offenses where it's a marquee matchup, everyone flocks to the Keenan Allens or the Justin Jeffersons of the world. Where I think there's value in those kind of like. I think a lot of people don't want to bet on checkdowns, but there's gonna be a lot if there's a lot of
Yeah,
offensive
there
plays
are.
to be run.
I want to win money, so I think
Yeah.
that should always be a number one priority. Now I do
That was
over.
me last year. I was 5-2 on betting Jared Goff under 3.5 rushing yards. Did it suck? Yeah, but it made sense. So here we are. But
It
yeah,
doesn't
I do
suck when
think
you win. I've thought myself out of some pretty obvious chalky spots in these primetime games, but generally speaking, I definitely do try to look for a little bit more off the wall props, and which I'll actually get to one I have here
yeah.
shortly.
Please share it because I that's the only thing. I have one more longer shot, but that's about it. So we can do that at the end when you're done with your straights.
Yeah, sounds good. Damn, I really like CeeDee Lamb tonight, but that's beside the point. I actually went Josh Palmer ladder, so he gets to take the place of Mike Williams. So Mike, you're Josh Palmer, just like he did for 5 or 6 or 7 games last year. He steps into the number 2 wide receiver role for the Chargers. Or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago was really odd. It's a very run heavy out of character game script for the Chargers. I think of that as more kind of an outlier. I'm not really too concerned about that. I think they get back to their 38 passing attempt kind of strategy, if you will. It's a Kellen Moore revenge game. If you like that angle, I think it's pretty interesting that he was Dallas's play caller last year, and then Mike McCarthy took over, forcing Kellen Moore to go over to LA. So I think this man's going to want to be aggressive. And what better man to be aggressive with than Palmer, who has an ADOT of 14.5. So I have a lot of stats I'll throw out to you guys, but I think a big key here is he was tied with Keenan Allen in week 4 for routes ran. So I mean he was out there pretty much every passing down. He played 86% of the snaps overall. He saw 8 targets. So I really like his role. I do have some worries about Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson's the ticking time bomb. At some point, this guy's got to start clicking at this level. I mean, he's a 21st or 22nd overall pick in the draft. I think at some point he does overtake Josh Palmer. Definitely banking on it not being tonight. Inefficiency is kind of haunted Palmer a little bit in the early season. He's only caught 11 out of 21 targets. You can take this both ways. He caught 66% of his targets in 22. He caught 67% of his targets in 23. But this year, his average depth of target's way higher than it used to be. So they're really using him as the field stretcher in that Mike Williams role. So I think with an ADOT like that and a line at 43.5, that the potential is pretty much unlimited. Hence why I laddered him. I actually took him for 43.5. I took him for 60, 80, 100. I risked 1.5 total units. I put 0.8 on 43.5, and then I divvied it up the rest of the way. So Dallas is without, obviously, Trayvon Diggs, and they still have some good cornerbacks, but they're also without their backup safety, who plays 50% of snaps. He plays a lot of passing downs, and he has a really, really good coverage grade, according to PFF. So now they've been a little stingy on deep balls. However, look at the quarterbacks they face: Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Josh Dobbs, Mac Jones, and Brock
Don't
Purdy.
even get me started on Josh Dobbs.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Right,
The only time he's.
Let's not get Brian started on Josh Dobbs. So I'll read that one more time. Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Josh Dobbs, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. So Dallas's passing defense's numbers look really, really good. And as they should, because that list of quarterbacks is very underwhelming. Obviously, Brock Purdy, when he has his weapons around him, has been really, really good. But the other 4 have been pretty damn bad, especially in the games versus Dallas. So I'm not really sold yet on all these coverage grades and all these low numbers. So I'm going to take a shot at, like I said, I've mentioned it 10 times already, but I'm going to take a shot at the high ADOT guy and hope that he catches 1 or 2 long balls here against a secondary that hasn't really been tested. And when they were, they allowed 2 catches for 80-something yards to Wilson. And my bad. There was somebody else I had on the top of my head, but they allowed somebody else 2 catches, 70-something yards another week. Sorry, I unfortunately.
You're making me look up the correlation for these receptions and yards right now.
I'm not mad at you. I think it's at 3.5 for receptions. It's at 43 or 44.5.
That might be a good one.
Yards.
I do think Palmer might be lower on the targets, higher on the the bombs. So I think Nick should end up having that. Okay, but here
under 3.5, 70 yards plus 3,000.
It's not bad.
Not mad at it. 30 to 1 is.
What's the odds for under 3.5 catches in general? Is it
minus 120?
That's not bad. I was about to say it has to be around even money, right? I think that's good, around there. Tone Step in the chat says, "What's a lot of hate for Josh Dobbs?" I don't hate Josh Dobbs.
He's been playing pretty well. All things.
I just bet his under and longest completion the one week of the year he went over it, and it was against the Niners, and he hit 2 passes of like 40 yards, and I was like, where the hell is this 30-yard air yard Josh Dobbs coming from? I got really pissed. But I think that's a good play.
Yep. Go Josh Palmer.
Do you guys have anything else on this game before we move on to MLB?
I have one last long shot.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
So just in case we do have a shootout with 50.5, each team to score a touchdown and field goal in each half, plus 2,200. It's plus 1,400 on DraftKings. So throw something on it. If there are points scored, I could see that hitting.
Sure.
I like that.
That's worth a sprinkle for sure.
Before we move on to MLB, I just want to say that I did have my FanDuel boost. It's kind of a It's really just a way for me to ladder Pollard a little bit. I ended up doing like Pollard 50 plus receiving yards, which is I think it was like it's like plus 550, I believe it was, and it has to be 3 legs for the boost. So I just did like Pollard 25 plus rushing yards and Keenan Allen 4 plus receptions. So like they're like minus 1400. It was really just a way for me to have a like be able to use the boost with 3 legs. We talk about this Chargers defense, like allowing 20 plus yard plays or big plays. So just give me 2 or 3 Pollard plays that go for 20 yards. He gets 50 there for the first time this season. I think it's kind of a fun way to ladder him.
I dig that a lot. That sounds also
Yeah,
should be a fun sweat.
So now we can move on to the 7 game of the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies. Ryan, I know you're a Phillies fan, so do you have any thoughts or feelings for this game in a non-biased? Oh wait, because you're wearing your Phillies hat, so
Yeah,
I'm being less biased.
It's a little tough to not be biased at this point. There's 4 teams left. I really want my team to win, so I'll kind of spare you the jibber jabber of why I think we'll win tonight. I do have a play. It is a Phillies player per se, but we can get to that in a second. But I'm actually going to spare you. I say we ask the man who's not a Phillies fan opinion on his thoughts on the game. I think that's a little more fair way to do that. So, Nick, what do you think about this game?
You want what I think or my plays for this game? Because my plays you're probably not going to like. So,
well, I know some of your plays, but let's start with your thoughts.
Why don't you just leave the stream, dude? What did you play?
I mean, I think the Diamondbacks are kind of going to go as Gallen goes because if they lose this first game or he goes not very long in this game, I think they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
They won. I mean, they haven't lost a game yet, have they?
No, swept both times.
Swept
yeah,
both
which
games.
is bad. They're due. They're due for a loss, right? Isn't that how gambling Twitter works?
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Oh, I got a he's due play coming, baby. I love that.
So if it's Kyle Schwarber, I'll punch you in the face because someone in the chat just said we should see a Schwarber tonight, and I figured out last week that Caesars has these credits that you can ever use, and I've used it on Schwarber home run 3 times, and I was done. I was done with it. Like they're free bets, but now I'm seeing people in the chat say Schwarber. If I don't play, I'm just gonna end up regretting it. So I might be homeless soon.
Well, hold on. Just hold off for a little bit.
It depends what. If you get Gallen from like the beginning of the season, it could be like a 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 type game. So it could be a really good pitcher's duel, but then again, who knows? Like I thought today would be, and it's already 5-1 in the 3rd inning. So
yeah, that's for sure. One. So how many plays do you have, Nick and
just
Ryan?
Just 2 RBI plays is all I have.
And then Ryan, what about you?
Kind of 2, 1-ish. I'll explain shortly.
Yeah, so I'll go first. I have 0. So Ryan, you can go.
Wonderful. Okay, so this morning I was taking a poop and I had an epiphany.
All right, dude. What the hell? You have to start like that. You could have just said I had an epiphany and started.
No. I think the location is very, very important here.
It adds more. It adds more to the play.
It really does. It really does. It makes it a less shitty play. So I did take the Schwarber. It's plus 380 over on Bet Rivers, which is a pretty ridiculous price in my opinion. I was happy to take that. I took
plus
that for
425 last game.
What was it?
It's plus 425 last game. That I would know.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. It's I think tonight's the night. So I hate to say that he's due, but this man's due. This motherfucker's due. He's homered every 13.2 at bats in his postseason career. Coming into the season, we're now 26 plate appearances into the postseason. Without one, he has 8 plate appearances against Zach Gallen, one of which was he did hit a home run. Zach Gallen's allowed 14 of his 22 homers to left-handed bats. He's allowed a 4.04 slugging percentage to left-handers. He's also been worse on the road with a 4.42 ERA. 15 of his 22 home runs allowed 15 of the 22 homers allowed were away from Arizona, so in away games. But not only did I take a Schwarber, period, I took him to homer in his first at bat, and I boosted it on DraftKings. I had a $10 limit on it, so I said fuck it and kind of went for a bit of a long shot. I'm definitely calling my shot here on this one. I think Schwarber hits a first pitch home run to start this game. Well, I'm sorry. We bat in the bottom.
You got to ladder it now. You got anytime home run, first plate appearance home run,
Or you
First
can do what
pitch
I
is plus
do.
5,000.
Or you can do what I do with Dallas Goddard yesterday and just take it first at bat and then keep taking it out of rage until he hits one.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. So I think it was what 1100 for a first plate appearance homer. There was a 25% boost. I had a $10 max. I said let's rock and roll with this. I've had this gut feeling pretty much since I woke up today. So I sprinkled 0.2 units on Schwarber to hit a home run in his first at bat. So took him for a homer for 0.5. Took him to hit a homer in his first at bat for 0.2. So
Oh,
It's coming first pitch now. It's coming.
you're
I
lucky.
might have to sprinkle first pitch as well.
You made me do it. I just bet Sugar House let me get $10.68 on a home run for Kyle Schwarber. So
Heard
look
worse.
out, world. This is going to be great. Which is probably for the best because being limited helps me not get too upset and just keep going after it.
Fair enough.
Just to shout this out to DraftKings because they actually have a boost too for Bryce Harper to hit a home run, plus 200 more. I think it's like you can get for like plus 700 now for him to hit a home run on his birthday. Is it a trap? Maybe, but if you're plus EV better, that I like to try to be sometimes with these boosts. I put like my max of $15 on it, but I just want to throw that out
Nice.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
just in
I do
case you
too.
went into that too. We'll go with this fucking guy. Nick, what do you have? What RBI plays do you have for the Diamondbacks here?
I got 2 Diamondbacks that hit
Oh,
Wheeler very well.
they're both Diamondback. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I took full advantage of the Phillies. Against the Braves.
It's true.
So
True.
I had to give the
We had some
Diamondbacks a
fun,
little
didn't
bit.
we?
Yeah. Tommy Pham 5 for 11, hitting 455 off Wheeler, and then Christian Walker is 9 out of 17, hitting 529 against Wheeler. So I think if anybody gets to him, it's going to be those two, and maybe you get Marte or Carroll on base in front of them for one of them. So it's just, the odds. I had to do it based on the odds too. Like, there's not much
Walker's like
value.
750 for 2, isn't he?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Pham was plus 9,000 for 4, which you don't ever see something like that.
Jeez.
So
Yeah, that's absurd.
It's gonna be
Gonna
tough
run
to
those
score. It's gonna be tough to score in a 6-0 ball game, but I do think it's
even like the 1 RBIs, like the 1 RBIs for these guys were like plus 250, which I'll take a shot at, just a
I don't blame
second.
you.
I like that.
Yep,
So,
I don't blame it at all.
so Ryan, do you have anything else in this game, or is it just the Schwarber one?
I'm
I guess
just rocking with sports today.
I want to kick it to you guys because I was looking at is I was staring at Wheeler over 60.5 outs all day solely because I know they have 2 or 3 batters with good history. Some guys are pesky at the plate, but overall he's just been like everything I see on Twitter is that 2 good starts he's due for regression, but can you also not just be locked in? Like I feel like he's just been so like locked in. Outside of that 1 home run against the Braves, he's just been locked in since last year's playoffs for the most part. So I wasn't sure if you guys had any thoughts on the 60.5 outs. And while you do that, just this is gonna sound weird. I'm gonna like just hold my scotch glass so I can take still shots because this hat and the glass looks so like cool. So as you guys talk, I'm just gonna do this for my own, portfolio.
Portfolio.
Nick, I'll let you start on Zach over 16.5 outs.
Yeah, once again, like that's your ace going. You have to set the tone. They're gonna let him go like that Braves game as long as he possibly can. I'm not the biggest Phillies bullpen expert, but it's probably pretty rested, right? Like,
I mean,
It'll be fully
the,
rested.
the break itself is going to rest people because like that had a nice little break there.
Yeah, that is true.
It's tough because we see it with Ranger Suarez with the Phillies team is they're so quick to pull him in these kind of playoff situations that although the bullpen's rested, Zach Wheeler is the guy you need. Like not need.
It's also game 1, so it's not like you're like, shoot, we're back up against
Same
the
thing
wall.
with
We have
Gallon.
to go.
Gallon's out there 14.5, and it's like I feel like these lines are almost set like it's later in the series where there's no room for error. Like there's you don't want to lose game 1, but this first set of trouble in game 4 in an elimination game or game 5 when you're down 3-1, whatever it is, you're pulling guys so fast. Game 1, there's still a little bit more leeway if you lead off an inning with a walk and whatnot. So I do think that both are pretty low.
So he went 6 innings in June at Arizona, and then at home he went 6 innings in May against Arizona.
I think the one thing with Wheeler too is on the chat earlier for the noon show is people were saying, oh, like there's some pesky hitters, this and that. The reason I can trust Zach Wheeler in these kind of out situations is he doesn't waste pitches. Like you see some guys getting these 1-2 counts and then they find themselves in a full count after spiking two or not getting their pitch on like the third or fourth pitch.
What'd you say
He'll
it was
just
at?
throw straight. It was 16 and a half. It was minus 120
16.5.
earlier. Like 16 and a half is I bet it when it was 17 and a half. I bet it when it was 15 and a half. 16 and a half is still under that 17 and a half or 18 and a half line where you don't have to go
He's
a
hit
full
that out.
six.
He's hit that 15 out of his last 17.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things where I was trying not to have a play for this game one, but I just think that it's such a good look to get almost 6 outs from him.
Yeah, I don't know. I've struggled to commit on this one. I thought about playing it yesterday when it got released. Just feels like Nick touched on a lot of it. Like bullpen's fully rested. If he gets in trouble, I know he's been so elite, but I could just see so many avenues. This late in the postseason, I can see so many avenues on how it loses. But he's also been. I mean, he's been a postseason wagon, I believe. Before last game, I don't know if last game changed it, but he pitched pretty well other than the one inning. But I think he's the postseason all-time leader in WHIP. He has like a WHIP of 0.7.
That's why I think it's
again,
interesting.
prior to last game, but
I think it's interesting when people mention that we said before, like regression. I mean, he's just been. I mean, his whole career was like, come October, he just locks in. It's nice to see, but yeah, I do
Like you
think you're
said
right,
too,
Ryan.
Brian. Like if you don't walk guys, that
He doesn't
extends
walk
your
guys like
outings
oh
by a
shit,
lot.
knock on wood, but man, he does not walk. Very few times you see him have multi-walk games. Like there's
Right.
3 walk games. It's very rare. He just kind of comes after hitters, and I mean, if you hit your spots, you can just come right out, guys. So I do think it's one where it's hard. You shouldn't do this as a bettor, but when you're already invested, say as a fan, I think it does become a little bit harder to pull the trigger on certain bets because you don't want to bet it because of that. But I do think it's a good spot. I think it's a bad number. I think it should be. I think the minus 125 or minus 120 should be an out higher, which that's 16 and a half is almost a big one for that last final out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely lean over. I will say that. I just couldn't bring myself to commit because he doesn't need to go 6 innings here.
Yeah, I think
But
there
he
might be
should.
there could be an avenue where say he's at 82 pitches after 5, he allows a walk to start the 6th, and you have avocado already in the pen or something like that, and you just take him out. Jose
Yeah.
Avocado.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I can't
don't know.
believe they're not going with Suarez game one that they're ace.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I tell you this, Ryan? I bought after game 4. I bought a Suarez jersey, and it wasn't even like I was celebratory
realize.
drunk. I've been wanting to buy one forever, and he still has 2 years left on the he has we could buy him out for 2 more years before he hits the open market. So I just think there was I hate having those mainstream jerseys, and I think Suarez is like my favorite pitcher.
I would have probably waited for the Hall of Fame induction jersey, but
yeah, that's
Not a
fair.
bad
I almost bought the Venezuelan one, but I did go with the powder blue jersey for him. So I think I think it's great.
Love
so
that.
Is that all we have in terms of baseball, and we can move on to the pick at popular plays out here and start preparing for these 2 games. I think it's I almost prefer. I wish the Phillies played the early game. I hate trying to be half interested in Monday Night Football and also have to watch the Phillies. It's very difficult to separate my feelings for the game there. But the Pickett popular plays, the most bet player, thanks to NicLarson for giving out on the show, it skyrocketed the picks, is CeeDee Lamb.
100%.
I do think there's a lot of value there. His most bet prop is his touchdown. Of course, it's always going to be that way, but plus 150 is honestly not a bad price. Wow, it's minus 110 on some other books, but FanDuel has plus 150. That is not a bad price. I do think he gets looks. I mean, that red zone offense has been kind of a mess. Jake Ferguson's been killing it in the red zone, but CeeDee Lamb, you have to think eventually finds his role in this team because he's had a role for this team for so long, and all of a sudden, last 3 weeks, it just looks like
1 touchdown in the year, right?
yeah, I don't know what's going on with that offense. Like I said, it's eventually has to click, and people are betting his touchdown, his over 5.5 reception, and then I'm guessing, I said, as Nick said with the ladder, his third most bet thing is 100 plus yards at plus 235. So people really are liking the ladder, thanks to NicLarson for giving it out on the show, and then it kind of broke the stock market there. All these books are shaking.
Yeah, they sure
That
are.
sounds about right.
I think a big key is like Asante Samuel Jr. is actually blossomed into a really, really good cornerback for the Chargers, but he doesn't shadow. And
Yeah.
CD plays out of the slot so much that he's going to have a good matchup so often in this game versus a secondary that is obviously incredibly, incredibly leaky. Already referenced all the 20-yard passes they've allowed. So what better guy to get several 20-yard passes to than this guy? So I really like CeeDee Lamb. If I didn't go Dak, I'd probably be right there with NicLarson on CD tonight.
If I didn't go Pollard, that would, like I said, I was very in on CD.
I'm actually kind of glad I didn't go CD. So
I'm glad we all went different things because if we all
I'm
showed
kinda
up
glad
here,
Brian didn't because then I would be doomed.
yeah, thank you for that, you piece of shit.
You're welcome.
But he is
You're
correct.
welcome.
We never have success when we like separately. I think we're great betters, but together we just I don't know.
Terrible.
Like
Something
the whole
bad will
I
happen
love
for
that.
like
sure.
it's like the whole thing of like two lefts don't make a right, two rights don't make a left for us. It's like on the separate note, we're doing just fine, but we get it. It's bad. It's our all-time record. I don't have it written down. I think it's 1 in 486, and
That's not bad.
No.
and it's only been 12 plays, so it's really bad. But the second most bet player is Austin Eckler. Honestly, I kind of like the route that Pickett users are doing. A lot of it is the 25 plus. So my guess is it's a lot of the boost or the same game parlay options. I do think 25 plus is a safer number for him. It sounds stupid, but the difference between 25 plus and 33 plus for any lower volume line is massive. So I do think he's going to see those 5, 6, 7, 8 targets, maybe 4 or 5 catches. He should be able to find 25 plus yards. So surprisingly, a lot of people like his touchdown. Obviously, we knew that was going to happen, but I'm seeing minus 180 some books. Like I'm seeing a lot of books that are just have no value. Based on the Pickett line shopping app, Barstool is the best odds at minus 65. MGM is minus 225. So he's getting that Christian
Agreed.
McCaffrey type of a line here. Just a lot of juice in this touchdown.
Yeah, you mentioned like hoping that we'd get some relaxed lines, if you will, just because he's been out for a little bit. But no,
He's
we
been out.
got
He's been out.
thrown right back into the fire.
He's been out for a little bit, and he's also just he's like one of those guys where I don't know if I can trust him after an injury. That's just me. Like he's always has that hamstring or insert other injury where you just don't know if he's going to play the full game. He is expected to have a full workload, but yeah, I'm always a little weary of Austin Eckler when he's coming off injury.
Yeah, if I bet him, I'd go 87.5. Line shop that if you're actually interested in it. I've only checked FanDuel, but rushing plus receiving is the route that I would go.
I think if you're playing Austin Eckler props, you gotta take receiving or the R&R. I feel like trusting just the rush is so tough with him.
It is tough. I do think there's some potential there in with his rushing yards, but
No, I agree.
he has like 117 in his lone game. Now I don't think he'll have that kind of workload on the ground, but his rush attempts line is at 12.5. His receiving line's at 4.5. So if we give this man 18 touches, I think he can get 88 yards. So if I did bet Eckler, I would go with the R&R personally.
Yeah,
What do you
I
guys
think
speaking
it's
of it,
okay.
what do you guys think of the DraftKings boost for Pollard and Eckler 100 plus rushing yards combined?
I
Say
like
no
it.
brainer. Take
Yeah,
it. No brainer. Max it. I maxed it.
I feel like people. I feel like people that like to complain about boost or say they're traps. I feel like if you take enough of them, it's like you start to see that they hit more than you think, rather than just pulling out one example. Like, oh, Justin Herbert didn't throw a touchdown. Like it's all about like that kind of stuff. If you take enough of them, I think
That one was kind of that one was the funkiest one of them all.
that was
for
the
sure,
funniest
I'll
thing
say.
ever. I still remember that. It was awesome. I had family members call me about it that don't even bet. They just like, hey, we saw in the news. Like I was like, yeah, it was crazy. Third most third most bet player is Justin Herbert. Is there a boost for him? Because his most bet on Pickett is 224.5. It's minus 500. I would usually say it's a parlay thing, but if there's that many people, there's got to be some kind of
No,
boost. I
I
would
know there
think.
was one on like Fanatics, but that's only certain states. It was him and Dak each 225.
So
Yeah.
that could maybe have a.
I think
maybe
Hard Rock
has a-
hasn't boosted, but I don't know how much weight they're pushing here.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking that maybe
I don't know.
if you have the normal parlay people and you add in some of the weird book boosts, that maybe it could come together. But yeah, a lot of people have that, and then a lot of people have his over 1.5 passing touchdowns minus 143. Juicy, but I mean we've seen this offense throw the ball a lot, especially in the red zone. So I don't hate that.
Yeah, tempting look for sure. I think with Eckler at minus whatever 200 or so.
That swing pass.
Yeah, he could get it rushing or receiving, but I mean, he's such a receiving threat. Plus, I honestly, if I had to sprinkle a long shot touchdown, I don't know where the hell I'm going with this, but Donald Parham is such a unit in the red
Is he
zone for the
playing to
Chargers.
I
Believe
know
so.
he was on the injury report, but I wasn't sure if like he was a full go or not.
Did you
Yeah,
hear
I'm
like tight end and your ears perked up there?
Oh, you know what, Nick? He's just you know what's funny? I was gonna come on the show and say I was done betting Dallas Goedert after seeing how bad the offense was, and then he got that fourth quarter catch, and now I'm all back on the train. So tight ends, I think the reason I like betting on tight ends so much is because the lines are so low, and they just have a lot of them have such a secure slash established role, like Jake Ferguson or some of these other guys. Like they have a role, so you're never really out of it if you're betting on tight end. So. I do
yeah,
like Parham. If he's playing, I would maybe sprinkle first touchdown for Parham.
I do want to throw something out there just kind of into the universe. This has nothing to do with any of my bets, but I think it's something to consider because I've gotten burned without really like thinking about it like this. But if you have Khalil Mack on one side and Joey Bosa on the other, now Joey Bosa is banged up, but he's expected to play. But they're so dominant on each end that Jake Ferguson could get tasked to block and take
Yeah,
away like half of his
you,
routes. So I think it's
you
something to consider. I still do like his prop. I
it's
think this is a nice spot for him, but it's something to think about. It's something that I've locked in a tight end prop without really thinking, oh, they're missing the right tackle. They're going to
yeah.
need his help. So just
I'm
put
glad
that
you
in your
brought that
head
up.
when betting tight end. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, no. I wasn't even trying to cut you off. I was just trying to like give you like that backdrop. You know, the school bully that like has that backup guy that always like hypes him up. That's what I was trying to give you there. I was trying to give you like I'm glad you're bringing it up because I don't want to go back to it. It's just the most relevant example. Yesterday with the Eagles, I almost chalked all my bets because I thought, oh, Goddard's not going to do shit after Lane Johnson went down. So it's one of those things where, and as you saw it, Stroll came in a lot, and there was 2 drives where Goddard didn't even play at all because it was Stoll being out there as a blocker. So it is very relevant to look at pressures on an opposing team and offensive line injuries because you almost get that 6 offensive linemen a lot of times with these. Just ask George Kittle, like half his career. Yeah.
For sure.
So I think we wrapped up. Do you guys want to quickly give out your bets? I'll go first because I have the least. I just have a strong lean on Zach Wheeler over 6.5 outs. Did not play it, might end up playing it. And then the only bet I have in for tonight's slate is Tony Pollard over 20.5 receiving yards, -115, and a long plus at +550.
Okay, Nick, go ahead.
I have CD Lamb, yards ladder for the football game on FanDuel. And a half is the starting point, and then up to 125. And then I also have a couple long shots. Austin Eckler, 25 receiving yards in each half. Wondering where to find that. It's under game specials, +500 to +1900 section. It is +900 for 25 receiving yards each half. +2200 another long shot, touchdown and field goal by each team in each half. And then for the baseball game for RBIs, I have Pham and Christian for the Diamondbacks.
Nice. I took Josh Palmer's ladder. It started at 43.5. I took him for 60, 80, 100 as well. My other play in Monday, Prescott over passing yards. His lines are all over the place, but you can get 250 plus on FanDuel. You can also get 250.5 at -115 on PointsBet. Both options I'm perfectly fine with. When we look over to baseball, I took Kyle Schwarber to hit a home run at +380 on bet, and I actually sprinkled him to hit a home run in his first at bat on DraftKings for a +1100. And I believe that will wrap us up. Let's go Phillies, baby. Let's go Phillies.
Way to stay, way to stay unbiased there, Ryan. I
Oh,
appreciate that
yeah,
you.
my bad. I didn't mean to say that out loud. No, thank
I
you
would
for
love
watching.
a Phillies like 15-10 win. That would be fine with me.
Sounds great.
Can
Well,
we make
it sounds
it? Can we make it
stressful,
like?
but it
Can
sounds
we make
good.
it? Can we make it 17-10 like a football score? Like I feel that's
Sure.
better.
I'm
All
cool
right.
with
Touchdown
that.
by a tight end.
Yeah. Okay. You piece of shit. Ryan, do you want to send this out? Actually,
For
Nick, do you
sure.
want to send us out? Do you know how to do it, Nick? Have you ever done it?
I've done it
Just pick
one
at
time
sports.
before.
Pick at sports sleeper picks. You want to just?
Yeah,
You want to try it? Like let's see.
I can
Okay,
do it.
everyone, listen in.
All right. Thank you guys for listening tonight. We'll be back next Monday if I'm still a plus by that point. But thank you to our sponsors, Sleeper and Pickett Sports. And have fun watching the game. Good luck with your bets tonight, and we will see you next week.
Beautiful.
6.3 out of 10. Nice job, Nick.
I'll take 6.3. I'll take it.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.